first guest tonight is best known as the longtime co-anchor of Entertainment Tonight. He's also won many awards for his musical compositions, and his latest is Grand Passion. Please welcome the Teshiest of all our guests, John Tesh. I'm not going in for any of that lovey-dovey stuff.
Yeah. Man, I want to check out the Star Trek suit.
I know. This is very cool.
You didn't buy that off the rack, did you? Oh, wow.
What size is that, by the way?
It's a Richard Tyler, and it's...
I don't know what the hell that is. You were talking to the wrong guys if you want to impress us with designer names.
It's the only thing that... It's a 44 Frankenstein.
I must have that suit.
Every time I'm on this show, you do that move.
I love it. I'm sorry. But we got to talk about this. The CD, Grand Passion. It's very romantic. And Valentine's Day coming up.
Yeah.
This is a romantic time of year to be coming out. You probably coordinated this in some ways, like Dog.
We could have. You know, we did not expect this, the success with... There's a James Ingram track on there. You probably know him. There's a song on there called Give Me Forever, I Do. Which actually people are starting to get married to, which is nice.
Oh, so well, there you go. You'll be immortalized forever. Yeah. And tell us about, of course, you have a famous relationship. Your wife, Connie Selleck. I mean, people know you're a celebrity couple. Were you very romantic with her? Are you a romantic guy, do you think?
Yeah, well, yeah. When I asked her to marry me, I wasn't sure she was going to say yes. If you had a good look at me and a good look at her, you know why I would think that.
Oh, don't be silly. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to hear of it.
Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks.
We just cued the go aw sign.
Yeah. So I rented out a restaurant in Carmel, California. I wrote her this song called Conchetta, which is her real name, Conchetta Selekia, and then I had a barge out on the water, and at the proper moment,
A barge?
A barge, and they sent up a 15-minute fireworks display, and then I asked her to marry me.
And set fire to the restaurant. Yeah. Wait, who does that? That sounds a little over the top.
Well,
I mean,
I'm still paying it off, and it was 6 years ago. So. But what happened was it was cute and all, but I got a lot of hate mail because it turns out the fireworks were shot a little bit too far towards shore, and all the car alarms went off from all these guys. So they were all...
So everyone hates you in that town right now.
Absolutely, yeah. Get out.
What do you... Are you still keeping up the romance with her all the time? I mean...
we were married on April 4th, so every 4th of every month for the last 6 years, she gets flowers.
That's too much. That's insane. Yeah. That makes the rest of us look like bastards. It really does. It really does. I mean, that makes your average guy... I think they are. America loves the bastards. No, that's right, folks. I'm cruel to me women. No, I'm just saying that you're setting a standard which you cannot maintain over the long time. Roses every 4th of the month.
It is hard to maintain that. I'm still trying to figure out what to do for Valentine's.
Slowly wean off the roses.
Absolutely.
Were you romantic as a teenager, or were you a guy who had a good Valentine's Day back then?
I was trying, you know, but I was pretty hideous when I was a kid.
I won't hear this. I'm not going to listen to it.
I was 6'5", and I weighed about 150 pounds.
Right.
So it was...
I went through that phase, too.
It was rough, and I remember I was at a dance. It was one of those Catholic dances, you know, and...
always a swinging time.
Yeah.
Let's go to the big Catholic dance. That'll be fun.
Somebody always spikes the punch, but I took this girl who I'd been seeing for, you know, like 2 or 3 weeks. She was we were going steady, and I had finished dancing with her, and I was talking to some of my friends, and I guess she had a couple of drinks or something. This is what somebody told me, and I looked up on the dance floor, and she was dancing with my best friend, and they were making out. I mean, like deep tongue kissing, making out. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and the worst part is they both ended up having too much to drink, and so I had to drive them home.
That is the saddest story.
Yeah, but they're exactly that.
Look at this picture.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're in the back seat.
Plus, you're 6. Plus, it was a Volkswagen Bug. You had to saw a hole in the roof. You know, we got to take a real quick break.
Sure.
We will be back more with John Tesh in just a second. Stick around. with John Tesh. Now, the Olympics, of course, are on right now, the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Have you been watching them?
I've watched a little bit, yeah. I used to cover a lot of those sports on CBS.
Yeah, I know, and we're going to get to this because when you covered the Olympics, at the time people were, they were critical. They were saying, we don't like the way John Tesh or just Tesh, we don't like the way that he does the Olympics. But now, the Olympics this year, so far, I guess the ratings haven't been stellar.
Well, what's missing?
Exactly.
Yeah,
what's the missing element? John Tesh. Now, is it true that when you watch the Olympics now at home while you're eating cold soup, you lower the volume and just announce along?
Yes.
With a little Mr. Microphone?
There she is, Svetlana Boginskaya. She needs a 9.3. Tatiana Gutsu, Lavinia Milosevic have all gone before her. Huang Huadong and Li Shuaoshuang are up next.
Very nice.
Yeah, actually, you had Costas on the other night, didn't you?
We had Costas on, last night.
Costas was one of the guys who was critical of me. We worked for the same network, so I'm gonna have to punch him out.
You know what? You could take him. Yeah, it's no problem at all. And if you want me to arrange a cage match on this show, not for ratings, not for ratings, because I believe in it. People want to see that. You mentioned just now working with Costas. Of course, you've been in broadcasting a long time, probably longer than most people. No, in the late 70s, you were working here on CBS.
I started in North Carolina, then went to Florida, and then Nashville. Actually, when I was in Nashville, the weather guy was Pat Sajak, and one of the reporters was Oprah Winfrey. So there was a lot of us there. And
would you guys hang out and say, someday our three faces will be famous?
Of course, yeah. And hang out in a bar and talk about that. When I got to New York City, I was the guy who got all the whacked out stories. So I was a street reporter at Channel 2 in New York City.
What kind of weird stories are we talking about?
Well, I did. You had special reports, and you've seen these things where it's special team reports and all that. So I did this thing where they actually sent me on a cruise ship for a series called Singles at Sea. So I got to ride around on a cruise ship with a bunch of single people.
That sounds like a dream job.
It was a dream job.
You're being paid to go on a cruise and hit on women. Was that the idea?
Absolutely. But the other side of that, though, was that they changed the pooper scooper law here in town. And
I remember.
Right. Remember, you had to pick up your dog's business. Right. And so we decided that, to illustrate the story, that I would go. They would stick me in a van with a one-way mirror. And then I would put, we have a camera there, and we would go into Central Park and follow people around, and film their dogs doing their business, and people would look around, they'd just sort of run up, and then we'd open up the door and go, aha, with the camera, and then we'd put them on the news.
Didn't people get suspicious when they're just walking their dog alone in Central Park in a van with John Tesh leaning out? He's going like, 3 miles an hour.
Exactly. The worst part was that we had, in order to illustrate it, we had a lot of pictures of dogs doing their business to put on, a lot of videos.
Which is just what people want to be seeing around dinner time on the news.
So what they thought was funny was they took, those boxes they put over people's...
those bars.
Those bars. Yeah. Well, they had a bar like from the dog's butt to the ground that would follow it around.
Which is in a way more disgusting.
Exactly. Yeah.
That dog's very talented.
I won an Emmy for that.
Did you really? No. I wouldn't be surprised.
I know.
Did you see any of the big guns while you were there? And CBS, I guess Walter Cronkite would have still been there.
Yeah, Cronkite is the broadcast center. Like this is 30 Rock. That's the broadcast center on 524 or something, West 57th Street. And I was a local guy, and every now and then I'd see Cronkite. Cronkite would be walking through the halls. It was really cool.
And he's just such a legendary figure.
He is, and he actually gave me a piece of sage advice that to this day I remember. It was I was walking down the hall, and we both had coffee, and I was, burning myself with the coffee. And he
Why? What? You mean you overflowed it, or what did you do?
I just wasn't. I wasn't walking properly. I had a lot of upper body movement, Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks for the tip-off, pal.
That's about it. So Mr. Cronkite said to me, John, what you should do is...
That's Richard Nixon.
Exactly. I won't do it again because it gives me a headache. But he told me you should bend at the knees and use your knees as a shock absorber. Right? This is Cronkite.
Cronkite. Walking around like John Cleese and Monty Python with his coffee. It must remain level at all times.
So I said, thank you, Mr. Cronkite.
I'll always remember that.
Then I walked, my coffee.
Which was even more scary in a way, probably.
Right. I never got any advice from Dan Rather, because he doesn't know how to do any of that stuff.
He's cuckoo. Yeah. Hey, you're laughing, and you used to work with him. I never met the guy.
He kept asking me what the frequency was.
What is the frequency? frequency? Tesh, what's the frequency? Grand Passion is your CD. It's available in stores right now.
Yes.
Hey, John, thanks very much for
My
coming by
pleasure.
again.
Thanks.
John Tesh, everybody. Daryl Hammond coming up. We'll be right back.